Hi, my name's Ann Buck, and I'm the Executive Director of the Christian Women's Job Corps. We're a nonprofit in Kerrville that has been in operation for 20 years. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary in 2020. We graduated our first class in the spring of 2000, and we will be graduating 452 women in the fall of 2020.
We get the question a lot of times about who are the women that come through the doors at CWJC. They're from all walks of life, all ages, 18 to 70 come through the doors because they're all going through a change in their life, whether it's abuse, whether it is they've just made some mistakes in their life and wound up in prison, and so now they're needing a fresh start. They're recently widowed, and now they're trying to figure out, how do I make ends meet, so I need job skills. They come in for a variety of reasons.
I went through a difficult time in my life, self-imposed. I made a lot of mistakes, made a lot of things that I didn't think, a lot of choices that I didn't think were forgivable. And I, was running.
And by the age of 13, I was a full-fledged alcoholic and drug addict. And by the time I was 17, I found a way where I could make money. I became a stripper in the adult entertainment business. And as time went on, I found an easier way to make some money doing the same thing with the drugs and alcohol, and that was prostitution.
I was here one day and a woman walks through the door, and she had just moved here. I found out she was living in a tent at the state park. We accepted her into our program. Through the process of what we do here, we saw her going from her head down to her head up. We got her housing through an anonymous donor, and that's difficult to find in Kerrville, but the donor was so willing to come forward and pay for that for her. So she's now living in a house, and she now has a great job working with people who have similar stories as hers, which is the ripple effect. And that's what we say we do here at CWJC. We may never see all the impact that the women have on their community, but that's one of my favorite stories.
I heard a story recently that I loved, and it made me think immediately of this program. And it was the story of a man who was walking on a beach, and he came across a little girl who was busy throwing starfish back into the ocean that she'd seen wash up on the shore. And there were apparently hundreds of them, and she was running around throwing them as quickly as she could back into the water. And he asked her if she thought that she was making a difference. He said, "There's so many starfish on this beach. How can you possibly be making a difference?" And she looked at him and said, "Well, I made a difference to that one," as she threw it back into the water. And that's the way we feel about the program, because we are making a difference. It's proven, it does work. And for each one that we throw back into the water, we made a difference too. And the ripples up from the water that come out of that splash that trickle down to their families, to their children, to the people around them in their community, that's immeasurable.
And I put in my application, and like I said, I was still working as a prostitute, but knew I didn't want to be there anymore. And in February of 2017, I got a phone call that I was accepted into the Christian Women's Job Corps. And from that second on, my life was changed forever. And we had Bible study, we had life skills classes, we had computer classes. It was a family setting where I had sisters I'd never had before because I was an only child. My life was changed. I got a job the day after graduation, and then 2 years later after that, I opened my own business, and I'm now running a facility taking care of the elderly. I've got 2 tiny cabins on my property. I've got my first resident. She's been there 3 months. This program has done for me what I could never have done for myself, and I know it's through God and through what I learned here, the tools that they gave me to be able to be where I'm at today. I have no fears. I have no worries.
It was gut-wrenching at times. It was digging so deep that to poke wounds and issues and things that I was caught up on. In the beginning, it was very hard to open up, but I'm so glad that I did, you know. I think some of the best advice that I got was, you're gonna get out of this what you put in. I think that was the most difficult part, was learning to see myself and my worth. And if I could say anything about the Job Corps, yes, they gave me the skills. Yes, they gave me their certificates and the ability and the confidence, but they gave something more intangible. It was a sense of self-worth, a sisterhood with my fellow classmates, and I think that's gonna last a whole lot longer than the Excel, hopefully.
The ripple effect that we talk about affects not only the women that come through Christian Women's Job Corps and graduate, but it also affects their families, and it affects their children who decide to graduate now and get a career of their own. And every time I walk into a business in Kerrville, I see a woman that has graduated from Christian Women's Job Corps. And I realize that our community is positively affected by this ripple. You can make a difference as well. Christian Women's Job Corps has enjoyed a wonderful support from the Kerrville community, and we need you. We are totally operated by our volunteers, from our board to our teachers, to our lunch volunteers, to people who bring clothing for the women. And I just want to thank you for that support, and I want to encourage you because you're making a difference, not only in the Christian Women's Job Corps, but you're making a difference in Kerrville. Thank you.